Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for your continued dedication in watching our content, and thank you for returning. As always, please like, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends and family, and interact with us in the comments. We love your feedback. So today we're going to look at Volkov versus Overeem, the clash between two heavyweights that were in the hunt for a title shot before the fight. Volkov is an established fighter in the division, with great wins over legends of the game like Roy Nelson, Fabrizio Verdum, Stefan Struve, and more recent wins over the much-hyped Greg Hardy and a beautiful body kick KO versus Walt Harris. He has only come unstuck against the likes of Derek Lewis, even though he dominated most of the fight, and he lost a unanimous decision to Curtis Blades. His fundamentals are solid, his figure imposing, and he seems hungry to make his mark in the division. He came up against Alistair Overeem, the Demolition Man, an absolute legend of combat sports. Overeem is a former Strikeforce heavyweight champion, Dream heavyweight champion, K1 World Grand Prix champion, and the first fighter ever to hold world titles in both MMA and K1 kickboxing at the same time. Overeem holds multiple victories over Fabrizio Verdum. He's got victories over Mark Hunt, Vita Belfort, and has also beaten former UFC champions such as Andrei Arlovski, Junior Dos Santos, Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar, brutally beating Brock Lesnar. He's really got a who's resume. And as I said earlier, he's a true legend of the game. His style has changed and evolved multiple times, and the fact he is still in the hunt for a title shot at 40 years of age is truly impressive. So let's see what happened. Volkov did some beautiful work taking advantage of Overeem's defensive tendencies. He knew Overeem would back up into an earmuff guard, as he always has done in his career. We see him induce this with feints and non-committal shots to get Overeem into this position before following him in with his feet and putting himself in a position to tee off on Overeem, while Overeem's tucked up behind his earmuff guard, thinking he's safe. And a note on the earmuff guard: it needs to be mentioned that this is a suboptimal method of defense in MMA. In K1, we see that he could get behind his hands and be relatively safe blocking shots, while his physical presence and upright posture kept him safe from opponents that couldn't bring the knees up the middle to expose this guard. But in MMA, where the gloves are only 4 ounces and not 10 ounces, this means there's less coverage, and you just can't be as safe behind this guard. For all the new things added to Overeem's game, such as the lower body attack, the takedown threats and the grappling skill, he always tends to go back to his roots when it comes to defending himself and he's under pressure, and he reverts back to this style of guard. But Volkov exploited this beautifully by using his hands to find the holes around the side of the guard that isn't covered, and because of his imposing figure and the fact he was the bigger man, he had no problem bringing his knees up the middle to split the guard. And let's look where Overeem is looking when he's in this guard, and ask yourself, is he in a position to counter? This was fantastic strategical work from Volkov, again exploiting the tendencies. And when Overeem was in attack, he was one-dimensional. We see him looking down and using his eyes to threaten a takedown and take Volkov's attention away. And then he was trying to loop the shot over the top and land to the head. He then starts to advance this technique by trying to move straight into a takedown off the back of that left hand. But surely things have gone a bit awry when the Demolition Man is looking for a takedown. The feint he gave with his eyes would have worked a lot better if he had actually attempted and posed the threat of a takedown before starting to try and unleash this eye feint and shot up top. In the end, Volkov starts to read this one-dimensional attack. He even counters Overeem off the back of this, starts to stuff and shake off takedown attempts, and he eventually just starts using his feet to take him out of danger of the left hand. And then, as always, it wouldn't be an Alistair Overeem fight without stance switches. The first time Overeem gets hurt in the fight, he's switching stance. Now, Overeem has always been known as a great stance switcher, but here he lazily switches stance and steps into the danger zone right onto the end of Volkov's punching range, and he gets buzzed multiple times for his troubles. The best stance switchers do it functionally, for example when retreating, or to follow an opponent backing up to cover distance, or it's done completely out of range. This is the reason most coaches discourage this sort of movement, because it is easy to get caught in between stances if you don't do it in a correct and safe way. Overeem exhibits exactly why it can be dangerous. Volkov takes the scalp of Overeem by finishing him off with beautifully placed shots in between the gaps of the guard, and this sets him up perfectly to attempt to avenge one of his defeats against Lewis or Blades. He could also have catapulted himself into the Jones, Ngannou and Miocic title picture. As always here at the channel, we can't wait. So just as a follow-up question, tell us who your favourite stance switcher is, who does it best, and as always, please leave any other suggestions for fights or fighters you would like us to put under the microscope here at The Beauty of Combat.